What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Megatron, a.k.a. First Ballot.
What's going on, Coach Dan at Lions Talk Live and the Duke Crew? This is Ball Hawk Ifeatu Melifonwu of the Detroit Lions. Everybody make sure you help support the YouTube channel Lions Talk Live by clicking that like and subscribe button. Let's get it and go Detroit.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live and Coach Dan by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
Good morning, everybody. I am the foreteller of the future. I am your momentary host today. I am Dan O'Damas, the all-wise, all-seeing through the basketball fate and the towel of destiny. I shall tell you this weekend's epic matchups results. As yes, once again, I shall peer beyond the borders of our world and our realm into the future to tell you the Detroit Lions will face an epic challenge this week against, yes, the arch nemesis from the NFC division of the North, and they will take on the Minnesota Vikings, and they will take the throne away from the Vikings, and the Lions will come out victorious behind a 37-31 victory, with Terrion Arnold getting his first ever NFL interception in the end zone as time expires and runs it bumbling, stumbling down the sidelines in much celebration and joy. And also, Dan Skipper will not be an expert receiver this week. Yeah, take that one off your sheet. That's the one that's not going to happen. Jared Goff will have a big game. He will throw for many yards, many scores, and he will throw for 1, 2, yes, 3 touchdowns, while the Minnesota Vikings will cry and cry in their beer. They will cry in their mashed potatoes as, yes, they will have much mud on their face after the end of the game after losing this one in epic fashion. Mwah! Well, thank you, Dan O'Damas, for making that weekly guest appearance, and I think we can all agree we are better for having that experience than not having that experience. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Lions Talk Live. You know what? It is a Friday heading into the weekend, and I think everybody's going to be pumped for this game. I really am surprised that the NFL hasn't come on in and try to move this game to a later time. I get it's a difficult thing, but we've also, if you watch the NFL for any kind of length of time, you've seen them do this a multitude of times. This is the game of the week, in my opinion. This is the one that everybody is going to be watching. And if you're fortunate enough to have a team that plays a later time slot, you probably are getting up to watch this one. You've got an epic matchup between undefeated the Minnesota Vikings, 5-0, surprise team of the league this year. Let's be honest about it. And yes, you have the Detroit Lions, the darlings of the NFL. Unless your team's playing them, you're probably pretty happy to tune on in and watch what Jared Goff and the guys are doing offensively. You want to see what St. Brown, Gibbs, Monty, Jameson Williams, Sam I Am, all of them are doing on offense because they are fun to watch. They are as unpredictable as you can be. You've also heard where Brian Flores, the Minnesota Vikings defensive coordinator, said, hey, we're going to fight fire with fire. So he's going to unleash his weapon, the unpredictability of their defensive front to try to slow down and stymie this Lions passing attack and offense as a totality. But we can also see from the thumbnail for this video, there might be a little trouble in Motown. Carlton Davis, the veteran, probably the best out of the veteran cornerbacks, was due to play against Justin Jefferson in man-to-man coverage basically the entire game, letting Terrion Arnold worry about someone else, and same with the rest of the secondary. But for the second straight day, as you probably already are aware, Carlton Davis hasn't practiced. We're going to talk about that as part of the main topic of the day. So without further ado, let's get this one going. Let's get into the 5 headlines now, etc. Before we do, though, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Making that push for 8,700 subs, and we are 22 subs away from that. So if you can help out with that, that'd be great. We'd love to get to 87, and man, 9,000's coming here faster than I would have anticipated. Also, if you have a half second of time, it is free of charge. try to help the channel out by clicking that like button, the thumbs up button. Helps get the video out to more and more people who maybe have not yet discovered Lions Talk Live. So if you can help out with that, that'd be great. Next, and the last of these topics, if you are looking for something perhaps to read, whether it be now or in the upcoming future, consider going to Amazon.com or wherever you find your fine reading materials and order Kajora book. It is the first of a 9-part series. The second book is due to be released next year. If you are a fan of historical events that have some fictional aspects to it, this may be something of interest to you. It's based on Native American and Japanese cultures. So you have samurai, etc., ninja, and yes, some Native American aspects to it as well. So go ahead and check it out. If you like it, don't be afraid to leave a kind thumbs up, or I guess it would be a review. But check it out and let me know what you think. All right, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get this show going. Let's get into the first segment of the show. And as you guys all know, that is 5 Headlines Now. You know, funny story. I don't know if I've ever seen myself and Daniel Damas in the same screen at the same time. I mean, we're going to have to make that happen one of these days. All right, 5 headlines now. Getting it going. The Vikings defense, the Vikings defense, the Lions, and quarterback Jared Goff will face ? Night and day difference. The Minnesota Star Tribune, Andrew Kramer. So most of you guys know the Vikings have had a lot of their success through their defense this particular year. Sam Darnold's gotten a lot of credit. He's thrown a bunch of touchdowns. He has resurrected his career, so to speak. But a lot of what they've done success-wise comes down to that defense. They're going to do everything they can to, get to Jared Goff, to disrupt the offense. But before you start thinking it's all doom and gloom for him, consider this. Did you know the Minnesota Vikings in the last 4 contests have only got, according to Andrew Kramer, have only got 4 sacks on Jared Goff. So they have not made a living getting on Jared Goff on the ground and disrupting the Lions offense in that manner. This will be a big thing for the Minnesota Vikings. Can they get past the Detroit Lions wall, the offensive line? I think for the converse side of this is, since Minnesota relies so much in all their games, all their victories this year at getting to the quarterback, even if you're not getting sacks, disrupting the timing of routes, if Jared Goff and the guys can pick up those blitzes, keep Goff clean, give him a clean pocket to look downfield, you're probably going to see the Detroit Lions do what they've done the last couple of games. You're going to see them pick apart a lot of pretty good defenses, and, maybe that'll be enough to keep this game out of reach for the Vikings. I'm thinking that the Lions are going to have a pretty dang good showing here. I think they're going to be, like we've seen throughout Dan Campbell's regime, they're going to be run first. Vikings are not bad at stopping the run, but they do tend to have to commit heavy to stopping the run in order to have the success they've had this year. That means Jared Goff is going to face a lot of 8-man boxes, which is something Flores wants to do. He wants to try to confuse the offensive line. Also means you're going to see the running backs and tight ends in a lot more blitz pickups or line coverage before slipping out. Now, that will be the big question. It'll be the cat and mouse game. Do you have the Sam Laporta or the running backs do chip blocks and then release? If you can do that and time it right, you're going to put the Vikings defense in scramble mode, as now you've got a lot of people coming to the quarterback and not a lot of people able to pick up that free releaser. So we're going to want to pay attention to that early and often, but I think it's going to be a pretty fun game. All right, for the next of the 5 headlines now, I put this one up here because, as you guys know, I've been paying attention or watching Trevor Nowitzki, and I think he's been doing a pretty good job. You guys all know I did a video about a week or so ago when he played and got a elite game grade from Pro Football Focus, a 90, I think it was a 90.5. To be honest, the more I keep watching the film, I think he keeps doing well. And you know what? Jeff Risden at USA Today kind of corroborated that. So Def Jeff did an analyzation of Nowitzki's game footage from the Dallas game, and yes, breaks him down how he performed against the Cowboys as the Sam backer. And now he got 29 total snaps of a possible 69 defensive snaps. If you break down the 29 he's out there, he does take over as the edge for Aiden Hutchinson once Hutchinson goes down. So on passing plays, he's out there for 7 different snaps. He gets 1 sack, he gets 2 pressures, and he has a couple of negative plays. So overall, and I don't know what Pro Football Focus is going to grade him as, but I would say overall he does pretty well there. He does far more success than minus. I think it is possible you're going to see him out there fulfilling that role a little bit more. As we all know, the kid's got a ton of athleticism. He can motor. He can get after people. He can track down mobile quarterbacks because of his great speed. Remember, he's got a sub 4.5. For a defensive lineman / linebacker, that's pretty fast. Nowitzki didn't play the first 2 series of the game. Keep that in mind also as they went with Rodrigo in all those coverages. Now, in pass coverage, this is one reason where we all get it. We've talked about James Houston at the start of the year. The coaching staff wanted to put him at the Sam backer, and it just didn't work out for him. He just couldn't pick up the nuances of it. Just was not good anytime they asked him to drop into coverage. Now, Nowitzki in this situation actually does pretty well. He is a +1. So what does that mean? In the game footage you look at, he drops back into coverage 5 different times. He has a positive in 4 of those, a positive in 3 of those, a negative in 2 of those. So he is +1 in that situation. And he does bust up a play on that in those coverages. So I think it's real possible. The more repetitions this guy gets, the more time he has developed, he might just end up being something. And that is something that Jeff Risson seems to kind of allude to as well. The athleticism, the size is obviously something that jumps out at you real quick. And if you have him as your Sam backer more on a full-time basis, you look at his size at 6'4". You look at Jack Campbell's at 6'5", 6'6", and then Alex Anzalone, probably being your 3 primaries. That's a pretty big linebacking core that can motor and hit people that have size that now quarterbacks have to throw over, especially when they go to more zone coverage. So could it be that Trevor is something developing for the Detroit Lions? I guess we'll wait and see. But if he goes out and does something positive for the 3rd straight game, you probably say the trend's your friend. He's going upwards and getting valuable experience. All right, Vikings, quote, crazy scheme. The only thing stopping Detroit Lions from leading the NFC North. Detroit Free Press, Dave Burkett. Dave Burkett breaks down. Again, you're going to have everybody talking about this matchup. Like we were saying at the start of the show, this is the premier matchup in the NFL this weekend. So everybody's going to dive into, hey, the good and the bad of the Detroit Lions offense, the good and bad of the Minnesota Vikings offense and defense. Let's be fair, though. You want to beat the Vikings, you got to beat that defense. Yes, the Vikings do have a lot of offense weapons. We'll be talking about that in the main topic of the day. But if you want to beat them, you want to supplant them, you want to be number one, Dave Burkett, check out the story. He does a great job breaking it on down and saying, hey, this is what you got to do first. All right, Dan Campbell, Lions, quote, not done, end quote, shopping after Aiden Hutchinson's injury. This is field level media. This is a San Francisco area publication and a newspaper out that way. The only reason why I brought it up is the fact that the fact that you have so many people speculating across the entire realm of the NFL, so from different cities and such, and everybody wants to have that take on it, wants to see what MCDC or Brad Holmes are going to do. But if you read this story, there are some quotes in there that it does appear, as MCDC has kind of commented in the last week, him and Brad Holmes have had some conversations. They've knocked on some doors. They've talked about a few things. You've heard ESPN come out and Jeremy Fowler say, yes, he is aware the Lions have had some conversations. Could it be they are going to do something? That I don't know. But the fact that you've got people even in San Francisco talking about this means the entire nation's paying attention to the Detroit Lions at the trade deadline. All right, here's how the Detroit Lions can pressure quarterbacks without Aiden Hutchinson. Athlon Sports, a story by Doug Fair. And I do think you're going to see a lot of what he points out in this article come to pass. I think you're going to see a lot more stunts out of the Detroit Lions. In their base defensive set, the Lions, it's not like they don't blitz quarterbacks, but they have, over the course of the season, relied mostly on just the front four saying, hey, get your wins, get to after the quarterback. But like you see in this story, they talk a lot about more stunts at the front. So between the defensive end or defensive tackle or vice versa to try to free up running lanes for somebody to get after the quarterback. They also talk about exotic delayed blitzes, going back to what Aaron Glenn did more and more the last 2 years, where you'd see like either a corner come on a blitz, the safety come on a blitz. If you guys all remember, Ife Melifanu got a few sacks last year doing exactly that, among other people as well. I think that's probably where, you're going to see the Lions get back to doing that, because it's not that they don't have faith in the front four. It's they don't want to rely at this point probably only on the front four. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll just drop back 7 guys into coverage and say, hey, the front four, do what you can. But I'm guessing that we're going to see the story by Doug here actually come to fruition starting this upcoming week. All right, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get over to the main topic of the day. All right, main topic of the day, Carlton Davis was a no-go the last 2 days in practice. Does that mean the Detroit Lions should sit him come Sunday? Today, in my personal opinion, today's the big test. You've given him 2 days of rest, but he does have to get out there today, before, to get some kind of, I guess, get the rust off of the last week. Get out there, go through walkthroughs, try to get back to making sure the coaching staff can evaluate him and say, hey, yes, he's good to go, or no, we need to sit him this week. It would be a big loss if Davis can't go, because we all get it. The Lions defense from the start of this year in preseason to where it is now, everybody can say whatever about whoever we play and say how beat up they are, like they did last week against the Cowboys, like they said about Arizona, like they said about the Rams. But let's also be fair to the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions have lost a gajillion people on the defensive side of the ball. You look at your starting Sam Backer, Derek Barnes, he's out. Last year, one of their starting safeties, Ife Melifano, he's out. You're talking about Marcus Davenport, one of your starting defensive ends. He's out. The other defensive end, Aiden Hudson, he's out. Broderick Martin's been out. I mean, and there's probably John Kaminsky. He's been out so long I even forget to mention him. But that's a lot of personnel to lose from one side of the ball. And the fact the Lions are 4-1 and showing massive improvement on the defensive side of the ball, that speaks volumes to the depth of this team, but also the coaching of Aaron Glenn, among other people on the defensive side of the ball. My personal opinion, if Carlton Davis doesn't go, that might force a scheme change out of the Detroit Lions, who mostly want to play man-to-man and mix in some zones. We also get that if you watch Sam Darnold, historically, if you look at his notes over the years, he doesn't do as well against man-to-man as he does against zone. So I'm guessing the Lions really going to want to try to get Carlton Davis out there. But what do you think, Duke Crew? Is this a major blow to the team if he has to sit? If he does have to sit, who do you put out there on Justin Jefferson? Do you put Terrion Arnold out there, or do you say Rakestraw, or do you go with Vildor or somebody else? Because you know what? You are going to have to put somebody out there against perhaps the NFL's best receiver and say, hey, hold your own in man-to-man coverage. Or do you just change the schemes? Do you put somebody over the top to help him? I don't know. It would force some changes schematically from Aaron Glenn and the team, and against one of the premier wide receivers in the NFL. All right, Duke Crew, we got about 12 minutes until we get our special guest of the day, Kurt the Hitman Steele. So let's see what you guys have to say. You can talk about these topics or other topics. It is a Friday show, so one other thing I do want to throw at you guys, and that there were a couple predictions. I forgot to put it in the earlier part of the show, so let's get them up right now, and hey, just talk about them. Sometimes you get a little tied up and forget some parts of the show. So, all right, before we get to you guys in the Duke Crew, let's get to the national-wide predictions. All right, Lorenzo Keys says the Detroit Lions 26, Minnesota Vikings 23. Might want to give that guy a thumbs up. Tyler Dragons, what do you got? The Lions 28, Vikings 24. I like this guy. Richard Boren, he sounds like a moron to me because he says the Lions 31, the Vikings 25. Maybe he's not that bad after all. He is picking a Lion, the Lions win. So let's take that guy. You know what? We're going to go with a clean sweep here. Jordan Mendoza says Lions 27, Vikings 20, Lions 29, Vikings 27. So that's all the people over at USA Today making their predictions. And obviously it is a clean sweep of the Vikings Queens. So there we go. A couple other bold predictions here. Jared Goff, and this is going to come from Clutch Points. They're predicting or foretelling the future, if you were in Dan O'Damas terms. Jared Goff completes at least 20 pass attempts, throws for 220-plus yards with 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That is their pick. Lions rushing offense gets tested, but gains over 100 yards and 1 touchdown against the Vikings. Lions still able to get 2 sacks without Aiden Hutchinson. And yes, that would be a good thing to help quell a lot of worries. Lions hand Vikings their first loss this season by at least a field goal. And that is their thoughts from Clutch Points. All right, now let's get over to the Duke Crew and see what say you guys. All right, let me scroll to the top of the screen and get this going. All right, Jason, greetings, salutations, starting lineup. Godspeed to Hutch. but it's time to show the league we aren't solely dependent on one player. We have so many weapons. Superdome or bust. I'll go with that. And good morning to you too, my friend. JDC, morning all. Back at you. Shamir, what do you got? Greetings, salutations, everyone. Always good to see you, my friend. Bo, good morning, Duke Crew. Trouble is brewing for the Vikings! Exclamation point. I see Super Bowl. Woo! I'll go with that. Let's see. Mike the Marine Gunny. Howdy, Dan and do run. Happy Friday. Woo! Yes, it is. It is a great day, and it is a Friday. Jameer, I have no worries. We got this. I think you're right, man. I think if our offense is really as keen as I think we're going to be this week, I think that's going to put a lot of pressure on the Vikings to play keep up. And, to be fair, the Vikings, they've had a lot of success this season because of the running game. If Aaron Jones is limited or just not effective against us, maybe that's a better way to put it, I think that's going to force Darnold to throw more than he has this season, which might expose some of the old Darnold. Jason, what's going on? Who is going to guard JJ? Terrian, Grabby Arnold. What about Addison? Hawkinson, if he is back, thank God our offensive is on fire. In the words of Bo Booth, I see scoring 38-31 lines. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a low-scoring game by any means. If Davis can't go, man, it is a real question. How do you defend their weapons? Because, to be honest, they've got a ton of offense weapons just like us. It's going to be interesting to see what both defense coordinators come up with. They're going to be tested for sure. Bo, if anything, the offense just needs to score more. There you go. Score more than the other team. You're probably going to win. Mike the Marine Gunny. So last night, Max might be back on the table? ? I love what you said. Just waiting on Brad. Hey, I get everybody jumped on the story, what Mad Max said, but to me, it was a complete change in his demeanor and his stance on not being traded from the Raiders. I do think Crosby was very telling in that interview, and I encourage you guys, go check it out, come to your own conclusions. But I put out a video yesterday. I'm guessing, every other YouTuber on planet Earth did too. The only thing I can say is Mad Max doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild. He wants to go win. He is, 28 years old, so I get it. At his position, the end of his career is sooner than the beginning. So he wants to go out there and have some success and some fun now. Big Daz, good morning, Coach Dan and the Duke Crew. Exclamation points. I'm all for going all in on Max Crosby. He would still be here for 2 more years. Yeah, he'd be under contract for 2 more years. And I do believe, guys, if you get him and we win Super Bowls, you're probably re-signing him at that point. You're probably going to have him say, hey, I want to finish my career here. That would be my guess based on, who he seems to be. Don Plisky, I haven't seen you in a long time. So, hey, good to see you. No trouble at all. We've got this Sunday. I like the way you're thinking. See, Bo, get Max in Saturday and aim him at Darnold Sunday. Yeah, that would be an ideal fit up. Man, if we could get him today, that'd be great. That way he could actually maybe meet us there. He wouldn't, it would be kind of halfway from Detroit to there. So, yeah, just fly to Minnesota and jump on in. A Big Dash, keep on blitzing. I'm guessing both defensives, they're going to say, hey, we can't just drop back and stop you. We're going to have to take our shots and trying to force some mistakes out of you guys by blitzing. So I think you're spot on. Big Daz, use that big play book again, 100%. Jameer, these guys are coming in with a chip on their shoulders. And trust, they hear people doubting them, so let's go Lions. Yeah, I think you're right. I think they're going to use, we've all talked about it, what happened with Hutch. It's unfortunate, but I think it's going to be a rally cry, if you want to say, for the entire team. I think they're coming after him. Just green salutations. Coach, how about we sign Watt and trade for Crosby? Think about that rotation. Yes, rotation. Something Bo has started. In regards to Watt, could it happen? Sure. Does he kind of leave the door open by not flat out saying in that video, no, I'm not coming out of retirement? Yes, he does. So he does mention in that video that if he's going to sign with somebody, it would be later in the year. He doesn't want to play a full season. So we'll see what happens. And yeah, if you could tell him, hey, we've got this guy and this guy, we would just be rotating you using you only, 40, 45% of the time, he'd probably be okay with that, I would think, if he has any intention of returning. As far as Mad Max, you guys know my stance. I'd be all over it. I'd go ahead and trade for him today. Steve, good morning, Coach Dan and the Duke Crew. In Brad, we trust. Woo! And back at you, Steve. Hopefully you have a great one. Bo, it's the ballroom blitz. Oh, yeah, I'm down with that. Jameer, do you think we really get Mad Max? I think there's got to be something there for him, whether or not it's the Lions he's, hearing or coming after him or whatever. he's clearly wanting out of there. He doesn't want to be a part of rebuild. So if they are rebuilding, I'm guessing he's trying to talk his agent into getting him a new team somewhere. So could it be the Lions? Yes, it could be. Could it be somebody else? That's also possible. Lions Talk Live fan, we are deep in talent. Yes, we are. Doug, yes, Shamir, I think we are coming in with something to prove to the world. Yes, I think we've got a chip on our shoulder for sure. Muggle D, greetings, salutations, coach and Duke crew, exclamation points, Superdome, Super Bowl, one pride, woo, woo, and good morning to you too, Michael. Trey, what's good? All question mark. Hey, coach, do you do you ever take a day off? Seriously, I think I can't think of the last time you didn't do a show. I want to say it was just a couple weeks ago. I took one day off, so I do take a day off maybe like once every 4 months or so. But that's just me, man. You know, I enjoy all my different jobs. I don't do them all on the same day, but I do enjoy them, and I get bored if I just sit around. So I enjoy keeping working. Hatman, good morning, Dan and the Motley Dew crew. Oh, yeah. And back at you, Hatman. Hopefully, having a great one. And hunting, I'm guessing. Frank the Tank, good morning. Duke Crew, East Side. Woo, woo. Go Lions. Good morning to you, too, Frank the Tank. Let's see, Tori, I hope Davis goes to today. Yeah. In practice? Yeah, for sure. Starting a few rookies doesn't sound like a great idea for Sunday. Yes, if Davis doesn't go, I'm guessing they start one of the vets, but I don't know that. Maybe they say it's time for Rakestraw. He did get a pretty good run in that second half against the Cowboys, so he's getting some experience at least. Parents, good day, everyone. So who do we think starts for Hutch? I'm guessing it'll be Pascal and Levi. Those are my guesses, but I honestly don't know. Frank Tank, I believe in this team, believe in the defense, even without Hutch, even if they lose a couple more guys, I still believe. Go Lions. You have to believe, man. We've got a ton of talent. And, hey, on the offensive side, we are going to score points. I don't think there's any questions about that. What can people do to keep up with us? I guess that'll be the big test. AJ, good morning, Duke Crew family. Woo! And good morning to you, AJ. Gunny, if you were Brad Holmes, would you make a trade that would include current players? Who would they be to close the deal out? You know, I guess it depends on the team. Now, let's just go with this. If it's Cleveland or the Raiders, I guess Hendon Hooker would be an ideal chess piece to put out there. I don't want to get rid of Hooker. I'm saying what I would if I'm trying to get Myles Garrett or if I'm trying to get Max Crosby. Looking at both their quarterback situations, knowing they need a draft quarterback, he would probably be a piece that they would want, I would guess. Probably after that, it'd be all draft picks. I can't imagine I'm giving up anybody from the wide receiver room, the tight end room, nothing from the offensive line. Maybe Sorsdale, I guess, maybe. Defensively, nobody on the defensive line, just especially since we're so beat up at this point. Linebackers, probably not. Yes, in the secondary, maybe Rakestraw, but again, I wouldn't want to get rid of him. I mean, to me, he's a future stud once he gets some repetition. So that's my thoughts there, Gunny. Robert, the Lions defense is definitely not in trouble. They will readjust and be more dominant than they were before and maybe even better. I'll go with that, Robert, and good morning to you too, my friend. Bo Kendall Vildor can fill in for CD the third. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I actually thought he played pretty well last year. Obviously, everybody's going to remember one thing, the bounce off the face mask, but, you know, it is what it is. Nobody plays perfect. All right, couple more here, and then we'll get in our special guest of the day, Kurt the Hitman Steele. Maybe he's going to drop a flying elbow's worth of vast information that for all of us to digest. Let's see, Clark, I'm with you, Bo. I'd start a vet versus another rookie. I'll go with that. Robert, greetings and salutations. Same to you. Paperback fan, greetings and salutations, Duke Crew. Go Lions. 42-14. I'm down with that. Mr. Nico, good morning, coach and crew. Let us sell the draft to get some impact players. Heck, let's sell the following 2 drafts for a Super Bowl. Everyone wants one before they die, and I'm being selfish. Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. I'd be down with that, too. I would say I'd be willing to sacrifice all of next year's draft in order to go do it because you know what? You've got enough young talent. You could ride out one draft, in my opinion. All right, Papa, best of morning to all. Lions will find the victory 34 to the Vikings, only scoring 20. I'm down with that. See, Frank, think every fan would make a trade. That's why we're not GMs. Go Lions. Probably true. Probably a whole lot of truth there. Bo Legentron could get real busy. Yes, he could be getting busy with it. All right, and then Quentin Green, salutations, y'all. Man, oh man, I just want to say how thankful I am for the show and the dues, crews, every day. It means a lot to me. Thank you all. Hey, that's awesome of you to say, man. Thank you for that. You know what? We're thankful for you to be in here. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get over to our special guest of the day. You guys all know him. You love him. He is the host of the Boss Up, Ball Out podcast, Kurt Steele. Kurt, how you doing this morning?
What up, dude, man? I'm doing good. Good to see you this morning, Dan. What's up, Duke Crew? Good morning, everybody.
The Duke Crew is waiting to hear your expert opinions on a couple matters. Okay. So we got a big game this weekend. I am surprised the NFL isn't doing something or didn't do something the last few weeks to move this to a later time frame. Just how big of a matchup is this for both teams?
It's so big that it has the biggest, I think it's going to have one of the biggest maps as far as, the coverage maps, because they're showing it down here. They usually, because the Panthers are playing at the 4 o'clock game, and they're playing on CBS. But they usually play a NFC South game down here at 1 o'clock if the Panthers aren't playing in that slot. But they're playing the Lions Vikings down here in North Carolina, so that's a big matchup. First place in not just the NFC North, but first place in the NFC is on the line this Sunday with the Lions and the Vikings.
So a whole lot on the line for both teams. So as you can probably tell from the thumbnail today, Carlton Davis, at least he hasn't practiced this week. If he can't go, how does this transform the defensive approach for the Detroit Lions?
I don't want to talk about it in depth because I'm going to talk about it here in a minute.
Right.
But I will say this: it's going to be probably a slide in coverage where it's going to be a double team on Jefferson. It's just going to have to be. Davis has historically done well against Justin Jefferson. Why? Because Justin Jefferson even said so. Interview a little while ago, he said that Davis gives him fits in coverage and man coverage. So that if he can't go, but I have faith in AG. He's going to figure it out. And we have two excellent safeties that can slide over and shade over and help whoever's going to be covering Justin Jefferson if Davis can't go. We know he's dealing with that quad injury. First, everyone thought it was the concussion, but no, it's the quad injury, which is kind of tough to kind of get back from. I mean, really, the front part muscle of your leg, right. It's kind of a difficult place to kind of rehab. But if they're just holding him back and to see if, just to make sure he's a vet, just make sure we'll see the day if he gets on the field today, if he can go on Sunday.
Right. And I agree with that. So, big topic everybody's going to be talking about, what do the Lions do to generate pass rush pressure on the Darnold since Aiden's gone? You got any kind of inkling who's going to take over that other defensive end spot?
I don't think the pressure for me, I mean, it's kind of answering what you're saying, but it's not, I'm not sure that it's going to come from the outside, to be honest with you. Even with Hutchinson being in, you look at the Vikings offensive line, their tackles have been playing pretty well against outside pressure. However, the interior pass rush sucks. So I think that's where the pressure is going to come from. I think it's going to be one of those things where you're going to see Aleem the Dream, new contract dude. He's going to be eating this weekend against that defense. I mean, because you mean the offensive line, because their right guard, where he usually lines up over the right guard, their right guard has a PFF score of 29.4 in pass blocking.
So he's saying he's got one way to go.
Yeah. So, and the center can't come off of him to double team Aleem, because guess who's on the other side? DJ Reader. So I think that pressure, I think it's going to be some stunts, some twists to get those guys that pressure up the middle. And we all know, especially a quarterback like Darnold, who's not that athletic, you pressure them up the middle. That's where you get to those guys. And I think that's where the Lions are going to go this week with the pass pressure.
You think, here's a question for you. We've been talking all last season, preseason, now during the season, about James Houston. If James Houston isn't active now that Hutchinson is down, what do you think that tells all the fans of Detroit Lions about James Houston?
Man, I've been saying this for a while, man. James Houston he's done in Detroit. He's done in Detroit. I mean, I don't think he's going to be active. You look at last game, even when Hutch was active, it was Uku who came up and was active, and Houston was inactive. They've lost faith in him. That one trick pony deal is not working in Detroit right now. You have to be versatile in Detroit to be on that defense. You can't just be a one trick guy. And right now he's a one trick guy, and it's just not working. You can't drop him into coverage. He can't set the edge in the run game. I mean, what can you do with that guy? Not a lot. So they tried him at Sam, and it didn't work out. Just couldn't pick it up. And he needs to go somewhere where he can be just a situational pass rusher. And Detroit's not going to be that place.
So do you think maybe we got breaking news? James Houston gets traded to somebody before the trade deadline?
I believe so. I believe he will. Or if not, just outright released.
All right. So that leads me into my next question then. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Trevor Nowitzki, his development, I guess, it seems to be growing on a week-to-week basis. He got on the field against the Cardinals, got 15 snaps. Against the Seahawks, he got, I want to say about 20. Last week, he got, I want to say it was 26 total snaps. What do you make of this kid? Is he able to, you think, be developed with his coaching staff into something? He's got size. He's got speed. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, good kid. I mean, you look at him. They brought him back for a reason. You just don't let a guy go and then bring him back if you don't think he can play. And right. I think with this coaching staff, you look at Kevin Shepard and Terrell Williams, they can develop this guy into something special on this Lions defense. And I was listening to you talk about him as at playing Sam. We didn't think we had a player who could play Sam, like a guy like Derek Barnes, and he's stepping up to the plate. Had a nice pass rush, got a sack on Dak. He brings something different with his speed. I mean, for as tall as he is, he has a lot of speed. So he flies around. So he's one of those guys, man. He's one of those guys that he's going to be one of those guys. He comes out of nowhere.
So now we're going to talk about the offense real quick. We all get Lions offense. Man, it's been on fire the last few weeks. It looks like the offense of the last few seasons. We're going to face a Minnesota Vikings team that, hey, they've got one of the more aggressive and complex at the line of scrimmage defenses. Flores, known throughout the league for just being a successful defense coordinator. At the end of the day, what do you think the Lions offense is going to be able to do against this Viking D?
I think they're going to be just who they are. They're going to be just fine. I'm not saying that they're going to run over the Vikings defense. No way I'm saying that. But if they stay there to who they are, they will be just fine. There's yards to be had against them in the run game. I know they had the number 2 ranked rushing defense. We're right up there too. However, it's the way that they play defense, bringing everyone down in the box. But they haven't played an offensive line like the Lions. And when they did play an offensive line that's even halfway compared to the Lions, which is San Francisco, the backup running back Jordan Mason had 100 yards.
Right. So
we can rush against those guys. I'm not like just blowing them off, but I'm saying with our offensive line and our running backs, we can. There's yards to be had in the run game.
All right, so now let's talk about the emergence of Jameson Williams. He's been one of the bigger talked about entities for the Detroit Lions for, I guess, all preseason. We heard that, man, he's really starting to look sharp. Goff and him seem to have connected. In recent weeks, though, you do seem like he really has become a matured veteran receiver in the NFL. The Lions can throw deep to him. They throw intermediate routes. They use him on gadget plays. How much more upside do you think we can still anticipate seeing out of Jameson Williams this year?
Sky is the limit, man. Sky is the limit. I think that he's going to have that breakout year that everyone's been looking for. And with the balance that the Lions offense has, it's one of those things where it's a pick your poison. And if you pick wrong, Williams is going to make you pay. And that's what happened against Dallas. Dallas picked their poison, line up their best guy on Jameson Williams one-on-one, and he torched him. Can't play man coverage against that guy. You can't go one-on-one with that guy. You don't have a guy fast enough on your team to run with that guy. And you look at what's going on with the Vikings defense. They give up a lot of passing yards. They're one of the lowest ranked passing defenses in the league. And And I see another play where Jameson Williams gets over the top, or he gets in the middle of that zone and can create havoc. They don't have a safety. Their safeties aren't fast. So they don't have a safety fast enough. Harrison Smith is not that fast. I mean, like, he's an older safety. I mean, yes, he's aggressive. He can play in the box, but you're not going to put him out there and let him just try to cover over the top of a Jameson Williams. You see what happened the first time that Jameson played the Vikings. He torched him for a touchdown, and I think he would do it again.
Yeah, I agree with you. Harrison Smith, while he's been a phenomenal player throughout his career, I think he's better inside the box as basically a pseudo linebacker than he is, over the top single high or double high safeties. So let's Scooby-Doo this real quick. The Vikings make a living off of keeping multiple guys at the line of scrimmage trying to confuse blocking assignments. The Lions have a lot of weapons that can burn you deep, especially Jameson Williams. It's like a tug of war. Somebody's going to lose in this exchange. How often do you think the Vikings lose?
I think it's going to be one of those things. Jared Goff has had success against Brian Flores. I'm going to go about it in depth in a little while, but there's plays to be made and there's plays to be had. You look at some of the tight games that the Vikings have played. They've given them some big plays in that pass game. If you stay to your laurels, and one of my thing is that you can get that defense to tip their hand if you're patient at the line of scrimmage and you don't fall for all the movement and stuff. You can get those guys to tell you what they're going to do and pick them apart.
There's been a lot of speculation since Hutchinson's been hurt that the Lions are going to make a trade for this guy. They're going to bring this guy to retirement. Lawrence Taylor was seen in an airport yesterday, so he must be flying to Detroit. At the end of the day, do you think Brad Holmes, MCDC, the Detroit Lions organization, makes any moves to acquire anybody?
Yeah, they're going to make a move. They're just waiting for the right opportunity and the right person. You see how Dan Campbell has kind of switched his stance, so kind of like it's just subtle. Like we just got to find the right guy. At first it was like, I don't know, we're just going to take our time, blah, blah. And I still believe they're going to do that, but they're not going to rush the decision, but they're out there doing their due diligence. They're making calls, and it's going to be somebody they're going to bring in. Now, I will say this. The Lions aren't saying that their season is over because they lost one player or two players or whatever. They just reload and keep playing. That's the one thing I like about the Lions. They don't get down. They're not going to be just because we lost Hutch, our season is over. We're just going to stop playing. That's not the type of coach Dan Campbell is, and that's not the type of players that the Lions have.
No, I agree with you fully. As far as what he's done in the past and what he's done here and all that. So let me ask you this. If you had to speculate, just pure speculation, where the Lions go to or who they go to acquire, who do you think it may be?
Oh, man, it's going to be whoever it is going to be someone who fits the culture. And I know if people keep bringing up Max Crosby and how much is it going to cost. And to be honest with you, I think if we can get a deal done where we bring in Max, extend them to kind of get rid of some of the cap, saying some of the Hurley cap hits. I think Max Crosby would be open to coming to Detroit. I heard you talking about it earlier. He's kind of changed his stance about leaving Vegas. At first, he was kind of like, I ain't going nowhere. And I think everything changed when Devontae Adams left. It was like, yeah, okay, this is what you guys doing? Okay, I'm out too.
And I get it, man. I know I mentioned it earlier. If I'm his age, you're at the peak of your playing career. You're closer to the downside than you are the upside. Mm-hmm. You probably don't want to wait 2 or 3 more years for the team to go out and get a rookie quarterback or whatever and start developing them, and that guy find his footing in a season or two. Yeah, that probably doesn't seem very advantageous to your career. If you were to go for him or somebody like him, like a Myles Garrett, whatever, what do you think the cost is to the front office?
It's gonna be at least a 2, and maybe a 2 and a 3 or 2 2s. But if you look at how the Lions are playing, you're 1, even if it's a 1, your 1 is really a 2 because right. Look at where you're drafting. You're drafting at the bottom of the first round. I know that Brad Holmes comes from that let's need tree where it's F those picks, but you're looking at a situation where not only would you get a guy to replace Hutch this year, but you can get a guy who will be with Hutch next year and the year after. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying throw the kitchen sink. I said you got to make a deal where it's advantageous for the Lions and it's somebody who fits the culture. It's not going to be just anyone. And to be honest with you, all those guys we're looking at right now, the guy that fits the culture the most is that tattoo monster out there in Vegas. What can we get for him? What would we give up to get him? I'm not sure, but it is one of those things where it's kind of a head scratcher. I would love to have Max Crosby home in Michigan playing for the Detroit Lions. I'm not sure it happens. It may be a lower tag guy like a Zadarius Smith or someone else, maybe Landry out of the Titans. But it may not cost the Lions very much. If you look at what the Jets gave up to get Devontae Adams, I mean, I could do that.
Right. And I know there was rumors that came out or speculation that came out, confirmation that came out a couple days ago that Lions had at least spoken to Hassan Reddick. There were a couple people that were saying if he was traded to an NFC team, the compensation backed would be a second round pick. But I think the actual verbiage, and somebody can correct me on this, it's if it's to an NFC East team. But I'm not 100% sure on that. Don't hold me to that. So,
yeah.
All right. I get you've got to be back on the air here in about 13 minutes. So why don't you go ahead and give yourself a shout out to everybody about your great content, where to find you. Go ahead and tell us all.
Hey, you can check me out on the Boss Up Ball podcast. I'm coming up at the top of the hour at 8 a.m. Definitely come over and jump on the YouTube channel, man. We do a great job. We have some fun talking Detroit Lions. It's very interactive. We get your comments on the screen. Come over and hang out with us, man. We got some big things coming up here in the near future. We're growing the channel, and we're just having fun talking Detroit Lions football.
He is the host of the infamous Boss Up, Ball Out podcast, Kurt Steele. Go check him out. Give him a thumbs up and a subscribe. Kurt, as always, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Dan. And we might see you here in a bit, so stay tuned.
All right, we'll see you, Kurt. All right, back to the Duke crew. Let's see what you guys have to say before we round out the show. Southwest, let's see, Sam Darnold, that's your quarterback. I'd take Goff at 80 years old over that bump. Fair enough. Let's see, Patrick Broski Bear, you're wrong about Mosley. That is true. Let's see, Gary, good morning all, grip for life, exclamation point. I know we are a deep team, but no team is this deep, laughing out loud. We need some breaks on injuries, can only withstand so much. This is true, and, guys, I've given you my thoughts. If I was the GM, which I'm not of the Lions, obviously, I would be making a few trades just to acquire some more players. I would make it this upcoming draft, though. I don't know how deep I would go into future drafts beyond that. Patrick Mosley did start one game, got hurt in the first game. This is true. Trump's J.J. Watt would cost us much less. He would, just a bag of cash. Let's see, Donkey Kong, sup, hat man, exclamation point. Business is heck, and I started a second business too. Man, you are a busy man, Donkey Kong. I do as much YouTube Lions show listening as I can. Yeah, just whenever you can, man, hop on in, kick on back, and relax, my friend. See, Key, another thing that should help Lions fans still confident in this team is that the Lions have been known to, quote, streak stop. We face the Cards 2-0, beat them. Hawks 3-0, beat them, etc. Yeah, we've ended a lot of people's streaks. Good point on that, Key. Eric, what do you got? Good morning, Dan and the Duke crew. Go Lions. Woo! And good morning to you, too. Southwest, kill the Max Crosby talk. He's not on our team. I'm focusing on who we got Sunday. There you go. That's not a bad approach either, Southwest. Focus on the guys you do have. Key, even last year, we beat the Buccaneers 3-0 as well. So we have to follow the trend of understand that this team feels it's best when they're in those situations. Yeah, when they feel threatened, when they have a great opportunity in front of them, they go out there and perform well. Scott, keep in mind, Mark Davison said Adams was not going to be traded, and now he's a Jet. So can't believe what he says. I think if Crosby demands to be traded to become a Lion, it's on then. Yep, it could be that. And yeah, great point about the Devontae Adams. Great point, Scott. See, Waylon Broski, I moved to Tennessee 7 years ago. Our Bears fans still celebrating 1985 20th anniversary, 21st anniversary, 34th anniversary while playing Super Bowl Shuffle. I don't miss the stupidity of many Bears fans. Well, there you go. There you go. Kind words indeed. Key, also, they beat the Packers 3-0 last at their place. Yeah, we did last year at their place, 100%. Gary, good morning, Coach Dan and the new crew, exclamation point. He should be a great addition, and when Hutch is back, we'd have a monster defensive line, goal lines. Whoosh! I agree. If you can pull off, whether it's Garrett or Crosby or somebody of that caliber, you would be able to say for the foreseeable future, at least the next season or two, the Lions would have the best offensive line and arguably best defensive line in the whole NFL. So I'd be down with it. Southwest, I wouldn't be surprised if Crosby is telling the Raiders he wants specifically to go to Detroit. Does he have a clause in his contract giving him the right to veto trades? That I do not know, Southwest. I can't answer. Joshua, so is Trey Hendrickson off the table? I don't know, but I know I was really hoping for selfish reasons that the Bengals would lose last week. They won just because I think that would start putting him in that conversation at sell time. Waylon, want to see Bears fans explode? Tell the 2000 Ravens Super Bowl was superior to the 85 Bears. Ooh, there you go. Shots fired. Dimitri, good morning, Lions fam and Dan. Woo! And good morning to you too. JDC, Motor City Duke Crew. I like that. Untouchable City. Let's see. Sell the farm. Let's roll. I'm down with that. Southwest, Hutch don't play on offense, so I know we can outscore anyone. Let's go get to Sunday fast. I can't wait for the statement game. Yes, it will be. When we win Sunday, you are spot on. This would be a big win for us across the entire NFL. Paul, anyone saying this for a week? Now, I think the most likely trade Brand will make is for Harold Landry. His old position coach is already on the team. You know, that could be something, Paul. I know he's been brought up a few times. I wonder if they'll make that happen. I'd be okay with that. Miles, Quentin Vigil, me too, bro. Oh, there you go. The T-Bone Lokes. Good morning, Kurt. Southwest, if it wasn't for Chiefs 49ers game, they would have moved. Let's do a later game time. Yeah, that's probably true, Southwest. Broski Whalen, Bears made the Super Bowl in 2006 as well. How many times have the Lions made the Super Bowl? It's the championship game. We've made that plenty of times. So we'll go from there. All right. Southwest, this game will decide. Definitely test Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. Yeah, they'll both be tested a little bit here. Hookadoo, but Broski, that's history, not here and now. That is also true. That's fair point. Boo, go find a bear chat, Broski. That all right. JDC, in the here and now world, Bears are the monsters of the Midway. There you go. Southwest Lions, the NFC North is by far the best division in the NFL. I would agree with that. 100% there. Don Barra also have one winning season last 13 ones. One. That's also true, Broski Barra. You've only had one winning season in over a decade. All we got to do is force a couple of turnovers and let the offense take care of the rest. The game is here on Tennessee at the same time, Lions and Titans. Titans and yeah. All right, fair enough. So hopefully you get to watch it, my friend. Same time as Titans. Okay, there you go. I was trying to get through it. Southwest, I've never seen a season where you have four solid teams in the NFC North, but that is this year. It is. And both teams, all four of them, they are having a great year. JDC, Broski, Bear, exactly what Montgomery is doing in Detroit. Yeah, but I think Broski did say they didn't want him in Chicago because he ran like he had a piano on his back. Let's see, General Brown living it out. JJ Run is dominating the Lions is done. There could be. Southwest, yeah, I think Kurt is right. I like James Houston, but if he's not active on Sunday, that's a big tell. He could be traded. Yeah, I go with that. If he's not active at this point with what's happened with Hutchinson, his time here in Detroit is done, so unfortunately. So, Broski, is Carlton Davis playing this weekend? I don't know yet. My guess if he's out there practicing today, it's a yes. If not, it's probably a no. Trim Reaper, Detroit wins 24-21. I like that. I'd like it even better if you put another 20 on our victory, though. Paul, I think Isaiah Thomas gets his fair share of snaps. His size and speed can bring a lot to the table. I do like the kid, at least from what you can see on him. Does need some coaching up for sure, but he's got some raw abilities for sure. Southwest, they should never let Nowitzki go in the first place. Just glad they brought him back. Yeah, I think they did regret letting him go. JDC, the Trickotron factor. There we go. Southwest, they definitely need to stop the run. I don't know what they can do to stop the Vikings players from being so wide open. I think O'Connell schematically is a mastermind at doing that. Yeah, he's a pretty good head coach / offensive coordinator. All right, see, Miles Margaret, Paul Oliver. Yeah, I want to see how they use it since they grabbed him. Yes, we'll see. Waylon, it's ancient history, broski. I've lived in Bears land, a.k.a. Chicagoland, for 38 years, and y'all are like a cult of delusion. All right, we'll go with that. Broski, other teams look at Houston as a one-hit wonder from 3 years ago. He has no trade value to the closed-minded fanboy stuff. All right, fair enough. Let's see, Dr. Troy, where are all these guys saying we'll be just fine? Well, I don't know. Let's see, Motown, we'll be just fine, Dr. Troy. There you go. The answer. Southwest, it's an open question how well the defense can play without Hutchinson. This is going to be one heck of a test Sunday. Yeah, you're right. You will learn a lot about the defense by how they perform this week. Let's see, Dr. Trey, Bears wanted Houston last season. Roth, that's also true. Bo, I'm saying we will be just fine. Agreed with that. The Trim Reaper, have a great day, Coach and Duke Crew. Woo! Same to you. JDC, here I am. I will be okie dokie. Go Lions. There you go. See, Dr. Trey, laughing out loud. Yes, the same old delusional guys. Southwest Vikings defense does a very good job of forcing quarterbacks to get rid of the ball before they want to, which takes stress off their secondary. That it does. So I'm hoping we protect Goff. You expose the secondary. Don 26 to 23 Lions. Motown, am I wrong? Lions are headed to the basement to replace the Bears. Is that the slow storyline now? I don't think we're heading to the basement. No. Waylon, I get it, broski. You're upset we're winning, but somewhat jealous. Don't hate, but appreciate. There you go. Bo, I'm old. Delusional thinking comes naturally. All right, I'll go with that. Southwest, NFC North games are going to be very interesting this year. I agree with that. I think they'll be very, very tight. Down Bear, Washington Commanders 27, Bears 16. We will see. Southwest line, the one name I'm not hearing much is Trayvon Walker from Jacksonville. I've heard him a little bit in mentions to Lions. We'll see if it happens. Let's see, Motown, cause last I checked, we still have MCDC, we still have Brad Holmes, we still have Goff, that offensive line, the two-headed monster in the backfield, and a much improved D, they will be fine. Yes, correct. JDC, Hallelujah Blue Skies will be seen after Detroit Lions Stormfront rolls through USA Bank Stadium and Sunday. Well, let's hope so. Detroit, Dr. Detroit, Don B, how's that Crosby take looking now? We will see. We will see. Don, let's see. Josh Sweat is his name. Keep an eye on trade deadline. We'll do that. I'll keep an eye on him. Villain Squad, I don't think Max Crosby going to cost us as much as everybody thinks. Bears got Sweat for a second-round pick, and they were both 2019 draft. Sweat is a year older. This is true. What it would cost at Crosby, I don't know. I agree with you. It probably isn't going to cost 3 first-round picks, so I do not think it would cost that. Dr. Troy, Crosby, go Lions. There you go. Don, Dr. D, Dr. Troy, not happening, not even entertaining Crosby chatter, waste of time. Fair enough. No worries there. Miles Marker, Bo Booth, I'm just reaching that stage. There you go. Dr. Troy, Rolf, okay. Bo, I entertain the entertainment. There you go. That's very entertaining of you. Southwest Broski, the Bears are a great position. You have to, you have what it looks to be a franchise quarterback, and your GM has done a good job building up the talent on that roster. They have, man. It's just how quickly Caleb Williams develops, in my opinion. JDC, Lions to Minnesota. Go Lions. I'm down with that. Waylon, Broski, what is Curtis Enos doing these days? Question mark. Whether is Neil Anderson, Tom Waddle for Hall of Fame? There, we'll have to find out. Buddy Kingo, hello, Duke Crew. Back at you, buddy. Good to see you this morning. Dr. Detroit, throw the sink. We have second rounders who can't even crack the lineup. That's also true. Johnny Gaz, good morning, all. Have a great Friday. Back at you, Johnny. Good to see you. We got to get you on the show this weekend. A Super Bowl, Lions Super Bowl 2024. Give them Hooker and Houston and a first. Maybe that's what it would take. Roski Whalen Parks, thanks for bringing up Hall of Famers. Bears have the most Hall of Famers of any team. Fair enough. Let's see if they can come out and play this season. Courtney did a little checking. J.J. Watt played 2 years at Central Michigan. I think that is correct. I think he was a tight end there, if I'm not mistaken. Don't hold me to that. Miles, the Golden Gopher says school. All right. Bo, Mr. Gaz, and the Gats of Detroit. There you go. Gun guy, Hooker, and a second for Crosby. Maybe that's what they do. Southwest, it's a conditional second-round pick. Reddick would have to play 67.5 of the season snaps and have double-digit snacks. That's going to be tough to do considering he's missed so many games. Josh, Who can we trade by the end of the day to today or next week? That I don't know. We'll see who they bring in. The Dr. Troy 2 first and Hooker for our first and glorified second anyways. Now, yeah, agreed. If we have the season, we think those are not going to be as valuable as many think. Don, word, all right. Buddy, Smith, Garrett, or Walker sound more real. I'm going with that. Dimitri, 1735 Detroit. Woo! Give me one, Dan. You want one? I'll give you one. I'll give you a one and well, let's see. Which one we give you? Let's give you a ask and you receive. Dr. Troy, yeah, Hutch was a major part of that. He was. Josh, trade for Smith to Detroit by end of the day or next week. I'm down with that. Paul, would switching to a 3-4 defense make more sense at this point, especially with Reddick Landry? You know, it's not a bad thought. Having Aleem, maybe Pascal or Levi, and then DJ Reader as your front, and then the linebackers backing them up over the top. That's not a bad idea, Paul. I wonder if that's where they go. Chuck E. Cheese, I agree. Focus on what we have, which they are, but you cannot focus on adding talent. You can't not focus on adding talent. They have something, period. Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah, focus on what you got, but also if you can get more, I'm okay with it. Southwest, I'd rather find somebody who fits the current 4-man D line, which has been very good at stopping the run. I concur. Dimitri, JJ is too dang old. Game over for him. Real talk. I'm down with that. See, Chuck E. Cheese, we are setting up to be a dynasty. I hope so. Broski, more fanboy stuff here with Hooker. Laughing out loud. This is hilarious. He's the third round pick who hasn't started a game in his injured history. He's had one injury. That makes him injured history. If that's the case, Broski Bear, your starting quarterback should be on the IR. I'm a USC fan. I can tell you Caleb Williams gets hurt a ton. You got to talk some sense if you're going to put some nonsense like that in the chat, because that makes no sense. Miles Marker, exactly, Chuck E. Cheese. It's intoxicating. Okay, a couple more here, then we got to go so you guys can get over to Boss Up. Apparently, Crosby does not have a no-trade clause in his contract. Okay. Dimitri, Don Burr, what up, Detroit? Miles Marker, Munsters, there you go. Broski Bear, Dan says exactly what I knew he would. Laughing out loud. But we won a championship in the 50s. 50s in the 80s, Broski, you're talking 30 years difference. I mean, get over it, man. I mean, what have you done this? How about this? What have you done this decade? Let's go with that. Have you won? Have you had more than 2 winning seasons? As horrible as the Lions have been for the majority of the decade, they have more winning seasons than you. All right, one funky. Broski, if one injury makes a history, then the entire league has an injury history. That's also correct. Saab, the same old Bears. I'm down with that. Brad, we had the best guys now. JJ would help for the run this year and could, but next time Hutch comes back and the draft, Max would help for multiple runs. We get to pick our enemy's poison. There you go. One funky Broski never said that he did, but saying injury history over one injury is delusional. I would agree with that. Yeah, because then everybody would be hurt. Dr. Troit's laughing. See, Josh, NFL trade going to happen to today and next week. I'm down with that. All right, guys, I'm going to go and get out here. Got to get ready for work. Sorry I couldn't get through all of it, but we're running a little overtime here, and I did promise to get over to the Boss Up, Bottle Up podcast. I got to get some stuff done before getting out of here too. I got to get some work stuff ready before I head over there. So, all right, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. If you would be so kind, hit that thumbs up button, that like button. Other than that, take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. If there is some sort of breaking news today, I'll get it over to you as quick as possible. Be kind to each other. Do something nice for somebody you don't know. And we will see you guys all on the next Lions Talk Live. You guys wanted this one, so I'm giving it to you. You're still here? What are you doing here? It's over. The show's over. Go home.